Supercar. It's a word that has always meant high power, high speed, and of course, high price, as in 6 figures, sometimes even 7. Well, today there are a few cars out there that deliver the high power and high speed, but at 5-figure price tags. We're calling them budget supercars, and we have 3 here today. The $49,000 550 horse Shelby GT500, the 505 horse $71,000 Chevy Z06, and the 530 horse $91,000 Nissan GT-R. We've come out here to the streets of Willow Springs Racetrack to see how they handle at the limit. We've even brought out pro racer Randy Pobst for a little help. First though, let's see how they performed at the test track. Okay, we've seen how our 3 supercars performed at the test track. Well, now we're at the track where it really counts, the racetrack. And for that, we've brought in pro racer Randy Pobst. Randy, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here, Ron. Good to be back with MotorTrend.
All right, let's get right to it. We have 3 very fast cars here today at Willow Springs. Just want to go over each real quick, get your thoughts. Let's start with the Shelby GT500. For 2011, now has 550 horsepower, 6-speed manual, still has the live axle, of course, and still fairly heavy at about 3,800 pounds. Your thoughts on that car?
Well, guess what? When it comes to pony cars in today's market, 3,800 pounds is not heavy, is it?
Not really.
That's lighter than the Camaro or the Challenger. And I've loved the Shelbys and the Mustangs in general in terms of their fun factor. The big, powerful front engine, rear drive pony car still appeals to me, and I think it appeals in the marketplace, and I'm looking forward to checking out this latest version.
Okay, let's move on to the Z06 Corvette now. Our model here has the Ultimate Performance Package and the Carbon Package, so it's basically a ZR1 with a Z06 engine. So 505 horses, 6-speed manual. It's the lightest here by a lot at 3253. Your thoughts on that car?
Well, that's interesting. Less horsepower than the Mustang. It's a lot lighter. I love the Corvettes. I love the way they look. I love the fact that they're made in God bless America, and I'm not a fan of driving modern Corvettes without the stability control on. I feel they can be pretty dicey, and I want to see how this latest version fits in that regard.
Our last car is the 2012 GT-R from Nissan, now with 530 horsepower from a twin-turbo V6. It's the heaviest here at 3,900 pounds, but it's the only one with all-wheel drive, only one with a dual-clutch gearbox. How do you think it'll do out there?
I like the GT-R a lot on one of its set of tires, but I've only driven the original versions, several of them. I liked it on the Dunlops a lot. On the Bridgestones, it was not as much fun for whatever reason. And the 2012, it's an updated version.
Yep.
So we've got a new animal. And on the Dunlops, the thing I thought was almost perfect. I loved how it handled. I missed the manual gearbox because I like that degree of control, but I thought it was an excellent automatic. and it had so much power it almost didn't matter.
Yeah. Well, so you know the 2012 is only on Dunlops, so that should be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so before you hit the track, any predictions on how they'll finish?
Definitely, because we've got 3 cars here that are really pretty different. And the streets of Willow track we're driving is a busy track, a lot of transitions. The Corvette's biggest advantage is it's lightweight. It is far lighter than the other 2 cars. The Nissan's advantage is it's all-wheel drive. I think the Nissan could be the dark horse here. I think the Shelby Mustang is going to be an overachiever if it can keep up with the Corvette on a track like this.
Right.
But I really look forward to trying it out.
Well, our test guys think the Vette will be the quickest. I'm with you. I think the GT-R might pull a surprise, but let's go find out.
I can't wait. Entering the straight in the Mustang Shelby GT500, I can feel that supercharger adding to the broad torque curve of this Boss 302 V8. Fair brake dive, but not as bad as the Mustang GT. Wow. The limited slip cannot keep up with that power. We spin an inside tire. Good balance, just a little bit of understeer. Car's not stopping as well as I'd like, but the power down is pretty darn good. The power is excellent. It's got enough understeer that I can control the car without a sudden snap oversteer. Hard on the brakes, I'd like it to stop better than it is. Hear that wheel spin. Inside tire just going, loose smoke off the back of the Mustang. Okay, we're over 100. Into the fast kink. Jumping around a little bit. Car stops well, but it's not very confidence inspiring. I like driving it though. Good balance, not too much understeer. Final corner, we're spinning the tire again. Just 1, not 2. The limited slip's not getting the job done. Across the finish line and back up the hill. Coming on the straight in the Corvette Z06 carbon option. 500 horsepower Chevy V8 rocks. Good stability, quick turn in, lot of brakes. We got the carbon ceramic brakes, amazing power. I'm using 2nd gear. This car is brutal with its power output, quick steering responses. Look at that quick oversteer though. It will snap oversteer. You've got to be responsible with the throttle. Be mature, people, or it will bite you. Quick responses. Extremely well dampened. I can feel the compliance in the suspension. Those brakes are amazingly good. Full throttle in the blank corner. 3rd gear. Over the kink, down a gear. Wow, it's stuck. Well behaved. Back into 2nd. Carbon brakes, a little push in the middle. Look at that. It does not like those slow corners in the front end. Finishing up. Coming back on the straight. I'm waiting on that understeer. And that's a lap in the Corvette Z06 with the carbon option. It's a lot of work. It's a brutal car. Really enjoyable though. Okay, the Nissan GT-R, starting a lap. It's a high RPM motor. It's not a mid-range torquer. Great balance in the fast sweeper. I like that all-wheel drive. I trust it. Down into the hairpin, it turns in. And boy, does it pull out of there. It explodes like it's shot out of a gun. Look at that baby turn in. Up, then it pushes, and then it explodes out of the corner. Fantastic. Let's go back to 2nd. I like the shifter. It puts the power down so much better than those poor 2-wheel drive cars. There's some push. It still understeers in the middle, but not like it used to. On the brakes, great brakes, but no match for the Corvette. Look at the way it comes off this bank corner. Utterly predictable. One hand on the wheel, flat out acceleration. Into the quick kink, over the little jump, back to the left. Very composed car. I like that, the way it rotates on the entry. Look, I can put the power down with one hand. And if you try that in the Corvette, you'll be backwards. Easy car to drive, lots of power, and onto the front straight, a little power oversteer, and there's a lap in the Nissan GT-R.
All right, Randy, you just finished your hot laps in our 3 supercars. Just want to get your impressions of each. We'll start with the Shelby GT500. Most power here, 550, live axle, fairly heavy at 3,800 pounds. Your impressions?
Well, I drove the Mustang first, and I loved the car. And one of the things I loved about it was that it handled that power well. It was predictable. It was still balanced. That predictability didn't come at the cost of understeer, which is just boring and frustrating. The Mustang is well balanced, it's powerful. I love the shifter. The brakes were a little weak compared to the other cars I drove today. And the sound was fabulous. And it still is a very enjoyable car to drive. It's the kind of car God intended. Front engine, V8, rear drive.
Now, last time you were out here, you had the Mustang GT, the 5-liter. Did you like this car quite a bit more or no?
It is a very significant step forward. I like that Mustang GT a lot. The Shelby suspension is greatly improved. The brake dive that we saw as an issue is greatly reduced. It still has reasonable compliance over the bumps. And I think it is a significant step forward over the GT.
Now let's move on to the Z06. Only 505 horsepower, so the least here, but also the lightest at just over 3,200 pounds. Your thoughts on that car?
The Corvette is rated at less power, but it sure didn't feel like it. And maybe that's because of that weight you mentioned, Ron. It, however, is a wrestling match to drive that car fast. I turned off all the controls, though, because to me, controls are cheating. I don't like having anything interfering with my sensory perceptions and my inputs. And in the Corvette, that means a lot of inputs. It is a powerful car. It is a high revving car. The torque is not as broadly spread as it is in the Mustang. And that causes sometimes the rear wheels to break loose far out on the exit of a corner. And when they do break loose, it's sudden. The Corvette is sudden when it loses its traction under power. And that's the predominant characteristic when you're driving it really hard. Okay. You're always watching out for that rear end to pop loose under power. This is with all the electronic controls turned off.
All right, finally, let's talk about the 2012 Nissan GT-R. Now has 530 horsepower, dual clutch gearbox, only car here with all-wheel drive. How'd you like it?
The Nissan by far handled the power the best. And the power, however, was very different. The power band got narrower and narrower on each one of these cars. The Nissan likes the revs. It's a high revving engine. There's not much turbo lag, but you've got to have the revs up to get the big power out of it. And it has the power, and it can put it to the ground. The Nissan is also a much better handling car than it used to be. And by that, I mean that it understeers less. And it actually oversteers under power in the lower gears, which is a beautiful thing. Power oversteer is my favorite thing a car can do. Yeah. The Nissan is very high-tech, very sophisticated, and yet at the same time it's a little bit numb, a little boring. Not numb, a little boring because it's so easy. Okay. It is a great car for Joe Average with 530 horse compared to the Corvette that requires all the talent of a really experienced driver to go fast. So the Nissan here was the easiest to drive fast? Yes, it was. And I'm not sure if it was the fastest, but it might be. Okay, well, speaking of fastest, I have some very important numbers here. The envelope, please. Now, going in, you thought the Mustang would be third place, and then you predicted Nissan likely second, but had a shot at first, and you thought the Z06 would probably come in first. Well, you were right about the Mustang. Third place with a lap time of 1 minute 23.48 seconds. That car felt really fast and felt great until I drove the next one.
Mm-hmm. And the VMAX in that car, on the back straight, you reached 116.72 miles per hour.
And it was frightening, let me tell you. When we jumped over that rise, it did a little live axle dance.
And then in second place, with a time of 1 minute 20.43 seconds, the Chevy Corvette Z06.
No kidding.
Yep. And your VMAX in that car was 120.19 miles per hour. Obviously, first place, Nissan GT-R. Your lap time was 1 minute 20.25 seconds.
Oh. So it was pretty close.
And the VMAX on that car was 122.66 miles per hour, so you were almost 3 miles an hour quicker, and the lap time was about 0.2 quicker in the Nissan compared to the Z06. So your impressions on the lap times after you heard them?
Wow. Well, having raced the K-Pax Volvo in World Challenge for 2 years, I know the advantages of all-wheel drive, and that's what's going on here, but it's more than that. The all-wheel drive does allow all that power to be put to the ground. Mm-hmm. And the Nissan does that much better than these two competitors. But it's also a matter of the refinement of the whole car. I talked about how easy it was to drive. And a car that's easy to drive gives the driver confidence. And if the driver's confident, he can carry more speed into the corners and be more consistent. And that paid off. Now, I'm not sure that we would have seen that on a bigger track. Streets of Willow has a lot of tight corners. And the all-wheel drive advantage is the greatest in the tight corners.
Right.
When I put that Nissan down into second gear with that super smooth double clutch type gearbox, it just exploded out of there. I mean, like it was shot from a gun. And I'm sure that's where it leaps ahead of the Corvette.
Right.
Also, in the high-speed stuff, like at the end of the straight where we had our maximum speed, it was higher in the Nissan.
Yes.
I don't think that was power, that was confidence. Because it was so tricky there. We come over a rise, it's bumpy, the car's leaping all over the place, and the Nissan was composed. I knew just where it was going to go. So I kept my foot in it that much longer. Whereas the Corvette and the Mustang were both a handful there. Now the Mustang, on the other hand, except for that one place, was also a very predictable car. And for two-wheel drive and 500 horse, they've done an excellent job of making it predictable and usable. The Corvette, it takes all the skills I can muster. And it's extremely rewarding and it makes great noises. Corvette is the monster, and I think that it's a car where I recommend that your readers leave those electronic controls on. Because unless you're Johnny O'Connell, I don't recommend trying a track day in a Corvette Z06 without the electronic controls. It's just too much of a challenge.
Okay. Well, just 2 days ago you were racing at Daytona, so we appreciate you coming out here on short rests. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron. It's great to be back with MotorTrend.
All right, excellent. So what's the verdict? Well, the fastest and greatest Mustang to date, the Shelby GT500, is simply outclassed here. Yes, it costs a fraction of the others, but it also performs at a fraction of the others. Still, there's undeniable greatness here. The Shelby is a very satisfying, easy to drive 550 horse machine. At just over $55,000, it's an unbeatable supercar. At under 6 figures, though, there are two better. Raw, powerful, fast, nerve-wracking, exhilarating. Racer Randy Pobst called the Z06 a beast. Associate road test editor Carlos Lago summed it up this way: got out feeling like I had just been in a fight, hands shaky with adrenaline. God, what a mighty car. Indeed, the Z06 is the most thrilling to drive, but only if you don race suits and helmets every Sunday. Compared to the Z06, the GT-R is quicker in a straight line, faster around a racetrack, and more forgiving when exploring the limits. Oh, and is cheaper at checkout. Rarely is a car so powerful and so fast, so composed and so non-threatening. But that's the GT-R, the jump in and go supercar, suitable for both amateurs and pros. And that makes it the ultimate 5-figure phenom.